Hi, it's me, Chris Bacon, the brain injured guy, here again. As I promised, I'm doing the Gmail emails that I sent out. As you can see, this is the first one. Um, it's CJ Bacon. There's my email if anybody wants to get a hold of me. Please review immediately, ... You need to look into this immediately, and I ask for standing at UN to report in June 2016. This was sent, as you can see, Thursday, March 17th, 2016. It's sent from me to sr.disability@ohchr.org, which is the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the United Nations. I asked for special rapporteur to investigate mental health court in Waterloo Region. So, what we're talking about is, so the main body of it, it says, please review and contact me or my caregiver. And the first one there, I believe, is, okay, so there's two links there. One of them is the link to the, what do they call that? Oh, let me go to my page. I can tell you. Got a sec, sorry. Got the wrong page up here. Okay, so the first one is abuse of disabled in Canada is a privilege preserved in corrupt legal system, and the other one is UN. Yeah, the first two videos. So it's a copy of the first two videos, which would have been Disabled Canadian requests UN Special Rapporteur to investigate violations of disability rights, and abuse of disabled in Canada is a privilege preserved in corrupt legal system. You can search those titles. If you search them in Bing, they do not appear at all under videos tabs or the regular tab. And it's funny because Bing videos are all from YouTube. And that's the actual title of the video. So there's only one explanation for that. That's called censorship. The government is censoring your ability to get that on a search engine. The other Canadian search engines, Yahoo, you weren't able to get it before too, but since I was out on the street corner telling people that the only search engine they needed to use was Google if they wanted information that was not censored in Canada, all of a sudden Yahoo, it appeared on Yahoo finally that next day or 2 days later under the video tab. You can get some of the, you might be able to get one or two of the videos, I'm not sure, but links to my other page, or to my YouTube page. And under DuckDuckGo, it only shows up under the video tab. So that's the three Canadian search engines. Again, should I be explaining why that's happening? I guess we're being, that's called censorship before the Trans-Pacific partnership goes through. Because that's the whole main reason of TPP, is to make sure that we can't do stories like this again. Anyway, so that's the two links. As I said, the first link is Disabled Canadian Request UN Special Rapporteur to Investigate Violation of Disability Rights, published March 14th, 2016, 11:23 p.m. That's the YouTube link. This one here is the YouTube link. And then this is also a YouTube link. So this is the one to, I believe, Disabled Canadian Request UN Special Rapporteur to Investigate Violations. And this one here is for abuse of disabled in Canada as a privilege preserved in a corrupt legal system, also published March 14th, 2016 at 8:50 p.m. So the rest of the body goes on to say here, I have been stripped of my rights. I am entitled to privacy and fair representation. They refuse to take any statement or take any other action than abuse. Help us, please. ... now. Thank you. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Christopher J. Bacon, abandoned and criminalized and marked for death. So that's the one to Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at United Nations. That's the first people I tried to contact in order to let them know what was going on at this court. So please see those videos and leave your comments. This is the next email. And I gotta make sure it's straight. Okay. So this next email again, care to help raise awareness of abuse of the disabled in Canada, is the title of the subject. Sent by me to Justin Trudeau at parl.gc.ca and also sr.disability@ohchr.org, which is the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the UN, and of course the Prime Minister, darling of Canada, darling Prime Minister. Everybody, he's their darling, but I guess you really got to get to know him. Maybe this will shed a little light. Still waiting for an answer there, Mr. Trudeau. Anyway, this was sent to him March 25th, Friday, March 25th, and it reads, "Hope this message finds you well. Please find it in your heart to finally address this issue of non-compliance with any international human rights treaty, let alone the active censorship of the UN Protocol on Disability Rights and Optional Protocol, and apparent complete disregard for the continued systemic abuse of the disabled in Canada. Are we not citizens too? Please respond or, quote, put up your dukes, end quote, ... How about it? You beat us up everywhere else in your system, in the courtroom, the hospitals. Heck, we can't even get a simple statement of fact taken due to the content and legal merit. What does it take to get your attention on this very important issue? Parody your battle with Monsieur Brazeau to get you to read the, quote, punchline? We hope you were better than this. Time to prove it. Stand and deliver on true democracy." And then in parentheses, I also added a caution, which is legal notification. "Cease and desist violation of my international human rights and continued unwarranted and unlawful criminal persecution and harassment of my person." And parentheses. "Sincerely, without reservation, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen," and in parentheses, "who happens to be, quote, disabled, end quote, by Government of Canada under law." And parentheses. "You can only run away from these problems for so long, ... Still here." Now, he was also sent the links, same links as what, actually, I believe I sent him, forwarded him a copy of the one to the UN. I'll have to find that one later and put it up, I guess. So, that's that one. Next one. Again, sent by me. Forward, the tagline is "Forward, care to help raise awareness of abuse of the disabled in Canada." Sent Friday, March 25th, 2016. Now the addresses are to news@ctv.ca, public editor at globeandmail.com, news tips at globaltv.com, foreign@washpost.com, news-tips at nytimes.com, scoop@huffingtonpost.com. That's all the news agencies. I forwarded the message that I sent to Justin, which is the one I just read. This is this one here. That's the other one that's forwarded. And then this is proof that I sent him the link as well on the same day. Well, this is the only one I needed to show. I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway. So as it says here, the first part of the message is the second part that I was commenting on at the last page, where this is where I sent him the link. So it's proof that I sent Mr. Trudeau the link. So that was forwarded to, both messages were forwarded to the news agencies. So again, here is the second email with the link, which was sent by me Friday, March 25th, 2016, and subject: forward, care to help raise awareness of abuse of the disabled in Canada. Again, to Justin Trudeau, justin.trudeau@parl.gc.ca and sr.disability@ohchr.org, which again, that's the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights or whatever at the UN. Body, oops, forgot the link to the latest video challenge, ... Let us know what you think. I'm sure a lot of other people will. And then there's the link to Disabled Canadian challenges PM Trudeau to charity boxing match. Sent again Friday, March 25th. Special Rapporteur, because again, I sent a copy to the Office of the High Commissioner. So this is addressing them. A Special Rapporteur, I'm still waiting for response or acknowledgement or instructions on how to proceed with my verbal request. Please RSVP receipt of info at least. Thank you. Sincerely, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen, parentheses, disabled, end parentheses. And then this message here is, again, just a recap of the one that I just read to you, which is the one from Friday, March 25th, the original message, where hopes to find you well, blah, blah, blah. And again, there's the last page. Oops, sorry, I guess I should. And just like that. Okay, I need to take a break. Okay, so we're back. This is the next email entitled Disabled Are Abused in Canada, ... charter notice. Sent Saturday, March 26, 2016. Now, you will notice there's a lot of yellowed names there at the top because this is the one that I sent to the federal and provincial sitting ministers, current sitting ministers. So the first email is sent to info.com@chrc-ccdp.gc.ca. That is the Canadian Human Rights Commission. So they were notified first. Justin.Trudeau@parle.gc.ca. That, of course, is Monsieur Prime Minister of the Queen of Canada. Jody.Wilson-Raybould, RAYBOULD, @parle.gc.ca, which is, of course, our Attorney General / Justice Minister. So it should be of attention to her. Haven't heard anything back officially from her yet. I've talked with her assistant or whatever, or secretary, not sure which. Office assistant or secretary, whatever. And I apologize if I called you a secretary and you're not. It was a woman who, I don't know the details right now because I can't remember it, but I do have the call recorded. Of course, there's also the Jane Philpott, Jane.Philpott, PHILPOTT @parle.gc.ca. That is our health minister, I believe. Jean-Yves Duclos, so that's Jean, Jean -YVES .Duclos, DUCLOS @parle.gc.ca. Monsieur Duclos is the families minister, who is also working in conjunction with Carla Qualtrough, CARLA.QUALTROUGH @PARL.gc.ca, who is actually the new sports and disability minister. Ralph Goodall, of course, everybody knows Goodall Ralph. Sorry, didn't mean to make fun of you there, Ralph. Anyway, Ralph Goodall, Ralph.GOODALE @parle.gc.ca. Future Prime Minister, hopefully, maybe one day. Anyway, Marianne Mishuk, I hope I pronounced that right. I think it's Mishuk. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I wouldn't mind knowing how to pronounce that properly. Marianne, MARYANN .MIHYCHUK @parle.gc.ca. I believe Marianne is the Labor Minister? I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Then we move on to the Ontario contingent. Legal @ohrc.on.ca, which is Ontario Human Rights Commission. Wynne.mpp @liberal.ola.org. I don't need to introduce her. She's probably the most well-known liberal out there. Of course, she's the gang leader, the ringleader. So, hey, Kathleen, I'm still waiting for your resignation. Don't worry, we'll give you a little bit more time to contemplate your future. D. Matthews, Deb.mpp@liberal.ola.org. That is Deb Matthews. It used to be the health minister, so I figured she was a big player in what happened and is happening today. So I believe that she should be informed too. Plus, you think any of these people might have some comment about this. I mean, it was sent March 26th, and today is June the 14th, is it? June 12th. Oh, look at that. Only, 14 days away from 3 months ago. Anyway, back to it. So D. Matthews, then there's M. Meilleur, which is MEILLEUR.MPP@liberal.ola.org, which is Ms. Meilleur is the Attorney General of Ontario. I imagine we're going to be dealing a lot with each other over the next little while. E. Hoskins, which of course is Dr. Hoskins. He is EHOSKINS.MPP@liberal.ola.org, which is Dr. Hoskins. He is a medical doctor, and he also happens to be the Minister of Health for Ontario. So somebody who might have their medical license at risk too, I would imagine, if he doesn't do the right thing to advocate for patients in Ontario. And of course, the last one, K. Flynn, KFLYNN.MPP@liberal.ola.org, which is the Labor Minister. So, again, this is all the federal counterparts and provincial counterparts currently sitting that needed to be notified of this. Again, the date is Saturday, March 26th, which is 2 weeks away from being 3 months ago. To whom it may concern, attached are the links to my video response to what I feel is obstruction of justice, which is pervasive throughout the system, which is interfering with my basic human rights, medical rights, and constitutional rights, and in my opinion led to a criminal act upon my person, a free and disabled person of Canada, by violating my international and other human rights laws, including those protected by the Constitution, through what amounts to an unlawful act of terrorism upon my person on May 1st, 2015, an act of improper arrest, assault, unlawful confinement, and continued criminal harassment and prosecutorial misconduct for deliberate malicious prosecution and persecution to cover up their acts of bad faith. This latest act is demonstrative of the fact of the effective removal of all my rights, which continues to interfere with those rights. This is slavery, and I have been tortured as described in the Geneva Convention, even though I am clearly a citizen of Canada and not an enemy combatant. Or am I? In parentheses. As a person who cannot write it down, I am applying the principle of a video verbal presentation in lieu of a written submission. But if you feel you need more, I'm not sure what that is. More and written, then feel free to review any of the many transcripts of the many appearances on this issue where I had verbally informed the court at every appearance, in person, verbally, and it was videotaped as well every time. And I believe that there is more than enough evidence of my repeated verbal requests contained within the transcript records of over the past almost year, up until the point of this email. We've already passed a year now, because the event was May 1st, 2015. So a whole year later, and no complaint against the police filled out for me, no helping to get the names and all that, no assistance whatsoever, and nothing written down, not even a syllable in my defense for the court, because just don't want anybody to write my stuff down. I really don't want this to come out, and I'm just standing in my own way, aren't I? Anyway, I guess the record speaks for itself. Now, it mentions that I cannot write it down, but here, we're looking right at an email, which obviously was written down. The complexity of what's going on, how long it took me to write this simple email was a long time. I am psychologically damaged by this situation, especially the ongoing torture of, again, this is rampant throughout the whole system. It's obvious what's going on here, and nobody's doing anything about it. And they're doing it without, what do they call that? They're doing that without any regard. Anyway, and I think this is proof, because March 26th, these are very serious issues, and they're not answering them. Anyway, to move on. Please see these links and consider it my submission for you to allow me to face my accusers and have my case properly presented in the proper manner. I am not asking for a stay of these charges as explained in these video diaries, request for justice and preservation of my constitutional rights and civil rights. What are you afraid of? Precedent? Must be. Do you think this is a concern? Is it not in the public interest to determine the truth? Are the disabled abused in Canada by the government of Canada? Is this important to you as a representative of the government of Canada? We will see, ... Sincerely and without reservation. Sorry, turn the page. At the top. Sorry. Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen, and in parentheses, quotations, disabled. These are the links that were attached. So the first link here, I just want to make sure it's lining up. Yep, okay. So first link is to abuse of disabled in Canada as a privilege preserved in a corrupt legal system. Second link is disabled Canadian requests UN Special Rapporteur to investigate violations of disability rights. The third link is Canadian government sanctioned abuse and exploitation explained part 1. The fourth link is to Canadian government sanctioned abuse and exploitation explained part 2. And the last link, the fifth link, is of course to the link of disabled Canadian challenges PM Trudeau to charity boxing match. P.S. While you are at it, can anyone explain why it is censored from Canadian search engine database? For example, you have to use Google or YouTube.com to find results. Proof of government censorship prior to full implementation of TPP? Curious, isn't it? Now, as I mentioned in there, if you go to Bing and you search under Bing, nothing comes up at all. If you go to Yahoo, I believe that one or two of them might come up under the video tab on the original search. DuckDuckGo, it only comes up under the video tab. Those are the three main Canadian search engines, and they are all. That means it's. That means that it is. What's the word? Censorship. That's active censorship in Canada, even before the implementation of the TPP. And what are they doing? They're actively censoring relevant information against the government. And if I'm so full of crap, then why are they so afraid to write it down in any venue? And why are they afraid to comment on any of these issues as described in this previous email? And why is Mr. Trudeau more concerned about getting his wife a secretary to maintain appointments that she might have as wife of Prime Minister? But it's a known fact that Ontario Human Rights Commission and Canadian Human Rights Commission do not write it down for people who can't write it down under any circumstances currently. And this is supposed to be in line of the UN Protocol on Disability Rights. Legal aid is in full control of what gets written down and what gets presented, because it is their duty under law to provide me with the ability to be heard as a person with a disability. They keep telling me to get a private citizen or somebody to write it down for me. I don't see that anywhere in the legislation, and that is, I am entitled to privacy. I am the individual of which they are speaking of, and I am the one who they're supposed to represent, not their fraudulent system. So, very damning here. And again, this is showing you what kind of transparent system Mr. Trudeau is promoting. If you go to Google or YouTube, it will come up with them right away. You can search it under CJ Bacon or my email, or just go ahead, Disabled Canadian, or follow the links. I've got the links there. Search it on YouTube and it'll come up right away with every one of my videos, including the ones where I do public service announcement by reading the legislation online. So all they have to do is listen. Okay, so this is the next one. Tuesday, March 29th, 2016. Again, where's Raj Saini? Raj Saini is the newly elected representative for Kitchener or Kitchener Center. I don't know. I think it's Kitchener Center. Anyway, he's my actual representative, and I've been talking to Raj. I've been trying to talk to Raj ever since he got elected. It turns out that Raj Saini's staff he took over the same staff that John Malloy had for the provincial Liberals. So it's the same people that I tried to deal with through the provincial situation that's now blocking it from being heard now. And again, if I'm entitled to representation, why is Mr. Saini being quiet about this? At the very least, this should be raised for every other Canadian too, and patient safety is very important. Apparently not to him. Anyway, hopefully this will spark a conversation. So Tuesday, March 29th, this was sent to raj.saini, S-A-I-N-I, at parle.gc.ca. Now, I kind of taunt him a little bit here because, again, like I said, he's been hiding. They're all hiding. They just don't want to come out. I don't know. They're just too transparent, I guess, eh? Anyway, hey, Honorable Raj Saini. Almost forgot my favorite MP. Are you busy? Maybe you could help me raise awareness on some of these issues. If Justin or any of the other Liberal reps I have asked to participating in this charity boxing event are busy, maybe you will, quote, strap on the gloves, end quote, for a good, worthwhile cause, stopping the abuse of the disabled and others in Canada and raising awareness. Can you please advise your leader that there is a little something taking shape out here and he needs to address it? Don't worry, as all is not lost. We think you are doing a great job at being transparent as your style of governance. You know, meet the new boss, same as the old boss thing. Clear as day. What are your feelings on domestic terrorism, healthcare fraud, labor board fraud, rising cost of lost time injuries, healthcare fraud, police corruption and assaults? Are public cameras there to protect the public or just improperly or illegally operating terrorist squads under the guise of policing? Please jump into the fray at any time. By the way, are you done reviewing the UN Guide to Parliamentarians? I could send you a copy if you are too busy. Let me know. Have a nice term and welcome to the real jungle. Sincerely, without reservation, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen, parentheses, quote, disabled, end quote, end parentheses. And, of course, the forwarded message, which is what this is down here, forwarded message. Just to make a point, I don't think I clarified yet. Public cameras, public funds, that should be unanimously available to the public on both sides because it is of use to the public. It should not be there and having a Crown attorney able to fraudulently protect wrongdoers by just saying that's not evidence and declaring it. Because that, last time I checked, is totalitarianism. Anyway, so we'll turn the page. And what we have here, so I'm just going to fold it over because there's more than one page on this one. So I'll fold it over and let's see if we can get that straightened so we can do it all. Okay. That appears to be good. So this one here is forwarded to Raj Saini. And this is the first forwarded message. It says, Tuesday, March 29th, 2016. Subject, forward disabled are abusing Canada, charter notice. Now, this was emailed to all other party leaders, federal and provincial. So you will notice that the first address is to elizabeth.may@parle.gc.ca. Hi, Elizabeth, and happy birthday. I know you've been busy with the tanker issues out there and other things. You know, and I am aware of what's it called? The place in Alberta that burnt down. So I know it's not the only thing on the table, but it certainly did demand an acknowledgement. Anyway, Thomas.Mulcair, that's M-U-L-C-A-I-R, at parle.gc.ca. Bye, Tom. Rona Ambrose, which is rona.ambrose at parle.gc.ca. She's now the interim leader of the PC party, progressively conning. I mean, no, it's not a conservative party. Anyway, gee, saw the clip of the press dinner. So I guess if you ever leave politics, you could have a job in singing if you take a few lessons. Maybe you could be on The Voice. Hey, never know. Anyway, so that's the end of the people on federal level. Then we go to the provincial level, which is patrick.brown@pc.ola.org, which is the newly anointed leader of the Progressive Conservatives in Ontario. Michael.Harris, qp@pc.ola.org. And of course, Michael Harris is the local representative for the opposition, which is well, I guess it's NDP is the opposition, but, or maybe, anyway, one of the oppositions, it's the Progressive Conservatives. Okay, so he's Progressive Conservative. That's what PC stands for. Of course, A. Horvath, HORWATH -QP@ndp.on.ca. So who's that? That's Andrea Horvath. That's the lady who likes to talk a lot and hide. And you need to explain why I've caught on tape, your party, actually Catherine Fife, actually assisted, it appears she assisted Mr. Malloy in covering up a crime and fraud in the labor and medical system. But more to come later. And of course, our favorite person in Waterloo who said that she was going to represent me and wanted to know all about my problem when she was at my door asking for my vote. We voted for her and then went to her office, and her staff, it wasn't her, I got to admit, I've never met personally with Catherine Fife, but that's because she's been insulated by all of her scapegoats. Anyway, still waiting for a comment, Catherine. I mean, how long ago were you elected? I've got the tape when you guys said I couldn't come into the office because I recorded because I had a disability. Isn't that against the UN guidebook to parliamentarians and the Canadian Human Rights Code? You might want to look into that, Catherine. Maybe get one of your staff to do that. You get them to do everything else for you, especially take the blame. So her email is cfife, F-I-F-E, -co @ndp.on.ca. And Catherine, you can hand in your resignation anytime. I'd like to see you charged criminally. But unfortunately, I guess ministers, that can't happen to. But we're working on that. Anyway, this one again, it was sent March 29th. To whom it may concern. Almost forgot this last cast of characters that play with government. Hi, Ms. Fife. You can start packing too, ma'am. The disabled are definitely being abused in Ontario and Canada. Patients are being harmed and are not safe because of the system. When is an ER doctor impaired due to the stresses of their job? For example, a truck driver is impaired after 10 hours. Airline pilot is impaired after 12 to 16 hours domestic and 16 to 18 hours international with autopilot. Now, an ER doctor is regularly required to work 2 12-hour shifts back to back. Are they impaired? Mine was. Should we all be concerned? That's a question that the healthcare system needs to answer. Because based on my experience, I already know the answer. This of concern to any of you? Is this an issue of public safety? Are patients safe and can this system be trusted? Are you aware? Help me to get Mr. Trudeau to accept my challenge to raise awareness and money for charity, won't you? The time is now. This conversation is happening with or without you. Funny what an ordinary citizen with a recording device can do when properly motivated. And you all thought it couldn't be done. You have already lost your high ground. Time to scramble for any ground at all that you might stand on. Say goodbye to Ms. Wynne and a few others. You're fired. Sincerely and without reservation, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen, parentheses, quote, disabled, end quote, end parentheses. We will see. But the main point of that is that now, upon this, it shows that every single representative that is available to the public in every manner of trust, in every current sitting seat, every leader, and every local MP that is supposed to represent not only me, but the citizens of Canada and the citizens of Ontario. And yet these issues of patient safety and other things are not of concern to them, because here it is almost 3 months later and still no response. I encourage you to help me get a response. We should all be asking these questions. This is another, it covers up at the top of this. P.S. Any comment on the rampant censorship and content blocking of Canadian search engines? And this is before implementation of the TPP? That's what it finished off with here. So this is just a copy of the same one that I sent to all the federal ministers, which is the one that I just read to you. That's Saturday, March 26th, Disabled or Abusing Canada Charter Notice, and of course, Canadian Human Rights, Justin Trudeau, Jody Wilson-Raybould, Jane Philpott, Jean-Yves Duclos, Carla Qualtrough, Ralph Goodall, Marianne Mishuk, Legal at Ontario Human Rights Commission, Kathleen Wynne, Deb Matthews, M. Mayu, E. Hoskins, and Kay Flynn, which is all the parties. And then the body of what I read to you before. So that's the same email that I sent to them. And the last page, I believe, again, is the end of that email response, again with the 5 links. Abuse of disabled in Canada is a privilege. Canadian requests UN Special Rapporteur. Canadian government sanctioned abuse explained part 1 and part 2. And then disabled Canadian challenges PM Trudeau to charity boxing match. And again, asking about censorship. So that's Mr. Radsani. So at that point, which again was March 29th, every single news agency that was available, every single representative, provincially and federally, was notified. The attorney generals of both were notified, because that was also a legal notice. And without prejudice, warning. And at every turn, they just keep putting the Canadian taxpayer deeper and deeper on the hook. Now, this is this final email. This is actually 3 copies of emails I sent to Ms. Raybould, Jody Wilson-Raybould, care of her assistant, which is the Attorney General / Justice Minister of Canada. They weren't sure if they could find the one that I sent them originally on the 26th of March. So I went ahead and made sure that they have what they need. Tuesday, May 31st, it was resent. So what was resent on May 31st is I forwarded 3 messages, and they all had the same tagline on the first. So forward, care to help raise awareness of abuse of the disabled in Canada, to jody.wilson-raybould, RAYBOULD, at parle.gc.ca. Without prejudice, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, and to whom it may concern, for example, PM Trudeau, ? Forwarded message 1 of 3. The following 3 emails comprise of some of the contacts sent to try and address this very serious issue. Time is up. I warned you. The ball is in your court. Literally. Sincerely, without reservation, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen. So what you see here is down at the bottom here, this is the first forwarded message, Friday, March 25th. Again, subject forward, care to help raise awareness of abuse of the disabled in Canada. It's the one that I sent to Justin Trudeau at justin.trudeau at parle.gc.ca and srdisability@ohchr.org, which is Office High Commissioner for Human Rights. And that's the one which I just read to you, which is, oops, I forgot to send the latest video challenge. Let us know what you think. I'm sure there are a lot of other people will. And this link is, of course, the one to the boxing match, charity boxing match. Which you can see, again, is a continuation of the same one from before, up here, and finishes. The next one is the forwarded message that I sent before that, which is the why it said here I forgot to send that. So from me, Friday, March 25th, 2016. Subject care to help raise awareness of the abuse of disabled in Canada. Again, justin.trudeau@parle.gc.ca and sr.disability@ohchr.org, which again is the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights at the UN. And again, this is the body of it. And again, it says you can only run away from these problems for so long, ... still here. But I guess he's still running. So that's message 1 of 3. That was forwarded to Ms. Raybould, the Justice Minister / Attorney General. This is the next one on May 31st. Just want to make sure it lines up and you can see all of it. Yeah, looks good. So, again, forward disabled or abused in Canada charter notice to Jody Wilson -Raybould, RAYBOULD @parle.gc.ca. And again, this is the body of it. And again, you can see it says forwarded message 2 of 3. So this is the message that I had sent out to her originally and everybody else. Copy of that one. So again, CJ Bacon, Saturday, March 26th. Disabled are abused in Canada. Charter notice to info.com @chrc-ccdp.gc.ca, which again is the Canadian Human Rights Commission. Justin.trudeau@parle.gc.ca. Jody Wilson Raybould again, and all those. Jane Philpott, Jean-Yves Duclos, Carla Qualtro, Ralph Goodall, Marianne Mishuk, legal at Ontario Human Rights Commission.on.ca. Kathleen Wynne, Deb Matthews, M. Milieu, E. Hoskins, K. Flynn. And it goes on. This is page 2. And again, with the links, 5 links. Abuse of disabled in Canada is a privilege. Disabled Canadian requests UN Special Rapporteur. Canadian government sanctioned abuse and exploitation Part 1. Canadian government sanctioned abuse and exploitation Part 2. Disabled Canadian challenges PM Trudeau to charity boxing match. And again, these are active links that were sent to her on May 31st. But Carla Qualtro's assistant notified me that they received their copy on the 26th and confirmed that it was sent up to all the appropriate parties on the 27th. And they were having meetings about that. So time to speak up, people, and let us know what you're thinking. Obviously, your actions in court have spoken loudly. The fact that you're not interceding at all and allowing this travesty of justice to continue. And this is, as you can see, this says forwarded message 3 of 3. Okay. So again, that's to Jody Jody.Wilson-Raybould@parle.gc.ca. And as you can see, it's Tuesday, May 31st. And this is the third message is forwarded. It's from Friday, May 6th. This may help you if you try. Oh, actually, this is, okay, this is where, yeah, right. I thought I'd give her a little bit of help. So this one here is, it was sent to Raj Saini, May 6th, at raj.saini@parle.gc.ca. And this is where I had spoken to his assistant for the last time, and they said they were going to look into it and do something about it. I still haven't heard anything. Anyway, here is a copy of the UN Guidebook for Parliamentarians, which is ipuhb.pdf, so you can follow along if you'd like, ... links. Oral reading of the UN Guidebook for Parliamentarians, Part 5, actually is the UN Protocol on Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the optional protocol. Pay attention to date published, which was 2007. So if anybody wants to know what I'm talking about as far as what is expected for accessibility, as far as the UN Protocol on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and Optional Protocol, feel free to search that. Oral reading of UN Guidebook for Parliamentarians. There's 5 parts, only 5 parts to that one. I'm using it as a means to educate. So I figured, well, you know, these guys seem to be really busy and may not be able to read all these papers. And of course, the comprehension skills are kind of lacking as well. But I figured I'd try and assist them as best I can, just like assisting the court, you know. And judges, feel free to come here and read it too. Every single lawyer. How about Osgoode Hall and the universities, because you guys teach these guys this stuff and you've been graduating lawyers, but nobody seems to know what the hell's going on as far as this human rights violation in Canada. So here's the link here under the YouTube of what I just described. The next link, which is this one here, is oral reading of providing legal services to people with disabilities -final December 17th 10. So it was penned, doc, sorry. What this document is this is actually the infamous Arts Disability Law Management. Okay. David Baker Law. He produced this paper back on December 17, 2010. This has been used exclusively for advancing human rights in Ontario and Canada. And yet, nobody knows. I invite you to read this document. It's very important because this has to dealing with anybody who has to get legal services. And every lawyer, you need to read this because it's very clear what needs to happen in order to provide legal services. This link here is information on Bill C-45, the Westray Bill, Occupational Health and Safety and Amendments to the Criminal Code of Canada. That is the title you can search under for YouTube, or if you can get this link, you can also go there. Or just look up Disabled Canadian or CJ Bacon and see what comes up. Anyway, Ontario Public Service Customer Service Policy. This is the link for that. That is exactly what it says. So if you are going out to every single person living in Ontario should read this, to know what they are expected to provide you and that you don't have to put up with their BS anymore, okay? We need to demand this. So you have until Monday news at 6 p.m. to acknowledge problem in system publicly. And this was to Raj Saini. Ralph, Raj, Carla, Jean-Yves, Ms. Raybould, Monsieur Trudeau, pick one, don't care which, to make a press conference outside Parliament or to provide proof that it was raised on the floor of the House. Don't worry, the opposition have also been given fair notice and they have also stayed true to their subterfuge of deny, deflect, and obstruct. If not, well, after all, government is all 3 parties and the Greens, and you do follow the same public trust handbook. True democracy is coming finally. It is what it is. It is what you made it. But more importantly, it is all our responsibility to fix this once and for all. If you refuse to represent the least of us, then get the fuck out. Don't worry, the brain-injured guy will help you sort it all out. Sincerely, without reservation, Christopher J. Bacon, independent Canadian citizen. P.S. This is mostly a provincial matter of obstruction so far, and I have the proof in real time in their words. Don't care how you work it out. The goal is to ensure this never happens to anyone again. Time to pay the piper. Next stop, Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in June 2015 to report, it should have been June 2016, sorry, to report under the optional protocol of Canada's apparent international law infringements. And this, of course, is the actual document. IPUHB, which is the UN protocol and optional protocol on disability rights, right there. I sent it to him. And that was sent again May 6th to Raj Saini. It was forwarded to Ms. Raybould on May 31st. So Raj, May 6th, that's a long time not to, and you've got the copy of the UN guidebook. You know what the Canadian human rights laws are, and yet, and you know what the policies are for patient safety in Ontario, because there is none. The only thing is that only allowed to discuss what happens in their own four walls. So how does that protect patients? How does that protect taxpayers' dollars from being unnecessarily spent? Any of you, please step up, give us an answer. So that's the emails. Now, I think what we'll do next is I'm going to show you who we sent it to. Oops, sorry. Show you who we sent it to. And I will pause between each page so that you can feel free to contact them. So this is actually printed right off the website. Of course, we all know Justin. So here's his information. This is federal. Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of the Queen. Political affiliation, Liberal, criminal, sorry. Constituency is Papineau, Province, Territory of Quebec. Email justin.trudeau@parle.gc.ca. Preferred language, French or English. Of course, he mentions French first. Hill office is House of Commons, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, K1A0A6. Telephone 613-995-0253. Fax 613-947-0310. And mail may be sent postage free to any member of Parliament. But I think this is better. Anyway, constituency office is 529 Jarry Street East, Jarry, main office. Suite 302, Montreal, Quebec,